Hi everyone. So I wanted to do a video talking about my story to assist and support you all with connecting deeper into your own knowing, deeper into the end result, your purpose for being here at this time, individually. Right? And then we all have a greater purpose. We have our own individual purpose, why we show up, why we choose to do what we do, to be what we are, who we are, how we choose to be that. Right? We also have this greater purpose, our humanity. What is her humanity's purpose? And they all connect. And the more of us who step into our deeper purpose and our greater purpose individually and collectively, the more we are able to create this new earth, this new world. And yet it's here, right? And we are building it. We are creating it. We are responsible for it. So how do we nurture that into being? How do we create the new systems that will allow us to function from a space of unity where we are all, right, honored and able to exist within harmony? And so I want to connect you all into your own individual knowing, your deeper knowing, your greater knowing, because we can always go deeper and we can always go greater. There is always more to discover, always more to unfold. We are always in transition and we are always moving, we are growing. And to stay stuck is not beneficial. Right? So how do we connect into our knowing at this time in order to connect deeper into our purpose and to take those next steps forward? So I want to share a little bit about my journey and my story and how I arrived here to do this work. Because I never would have thought in a million years I would be doing what I'm doing. Never. And yet, I've always known I'm here for a purpose. And I've always worked towards grasping what that purpose is and moving into that purpose. Right? Even though I've always been living that purpose, just as you have. It's the awareness of it. It's the remembrance of it. It's the connection to it, rather than doubting it or resisting it along the way. So, where do I start? Where do I start connecting into my knowing and sharing that knowing? Where do I start, right? Where do I start? So let's talk about knowing. Knowing is a feeling. Right? It's a sensation where you know things without knowing where they came from or how you know them. You just know it within your gut, right? Now, when we are fully connected into that and we are living right through that power, you could say, or that ability or that gift, then that is that. But when we are not fully connected into that space and living and creating and manifesting from that space, that's when we're experiencing dysfunction, because we are listening to something outside of ourselves telling us, right, whatever that may be, whatever that may be. But when we are fully rooted in our own knowing, then nothing can take us out of that. But the thing here is that we have become disconnected from our knowing because we have essentially been taught that not to trust it. And that is that what you could say is because of that patriarchal system, let's say, that we live within. The way that the sacred feminine has been dismissed and it has not been honored, because the sacred feminine is feeling, it is flow, it is movement, it is emotion. Emotion is energy in motion. But we are taught, you could say, right? We've learned that, okay, well, we shouldn't trust feelings, right? Logic is more important. Right? Logic and reason, masculine, right, is more important than feminine feeling, right? Feminine knowing, intuition, which is simply not true. You need both. You need both. And so connecting into that feeling, right, first, and then using logic and reason, right, because we have become disconnected. So not going into logic and reason first, we want to go into the feminine first. We want to feel first. We want to honor first. Then we can go into the logic and reason, explain the space logically, reasonably, rationally, right? Rational. Because when you're not in that balance and you're not able to hold both equal, then you are not creating and manifesting from that space of balance and alignment. And we must honor both. And because we have become disconnected, right, we want to go into that sacred feminine feeling. We want to essentially dig in to it because we want to strengthen it, right? Because we have not been in touch with it. We have to clear everything out that has blocked it or that we've put in order to stop ourselves from feeling and gone into the logic or the reason or the rationale, right? But now it's time to begin to allow that to rise, to allow that to guide our way forward, that feeling, that knowing without reason. You just know. You just know so deep within you that nothing can take you out of that knowing. That's what we want you to connect into, that deeper core knowing. Because it is true. It is there, and it's not going anywhere. Right? So how do you connect into that and then use that to guide your way forward? And I want to share a story about following my knowing. And believe me, I have questioned it, and I have doubted it, and I have attempted to disconnect from it or, dismiss it, but it's still there, let's say, right? It's still there. It's not going anywhere. So how do you accept what you know? Accept that gut intuition, accept that knowing, right? That cannot be taken from you. And in order to get to that space, you must clear everything else out. And then you realize, wow, it's not going anywhere, right? This is my core. And I just know, and I can be at peace with this knowing. And again, this is my own individual journey into that trust, building that trust. I know some of you who have received your readings back, it's this trust came up a lot, because that is, we need to learn how, it was just 10:10, how long this video is, but we need to learn how to trust that knowing, right? Once we're in that knowing, how do we trust that knowing and use that knowing to manifest forward? Get in touch with it. And use that power. Use that power. So, something that has been coming up for me lately is my mother and I have had a rocky relationship, right? My mother, whom I love very much, is unable to provide a safe space for me or for my son. And I know this to be true. And as much as she attempts to twist or manipulate it into being about me, right? Me having the problem, right? Because I know it's not a safe space. I must be wrong, right? I must be wrong. And so her energy comes to me in attempting to get me to go against my own knowing, right? In order to make her feel secure and comfortable, you could say, right? But I can't, because I know that that is not going to serve anyone. Now, there may be temporary peace, but there is no lasting peace. And I have chosen to go through the uncomfortable work of setting a boundary and saying no thank you, and essentially ending that relationship until I can feel safe in that relationship with her, where I can have a safe relationship and my son can be in a safe relationship with her, right? Now, this knowing, right, does not come from anything outside of me. It is based on my journey within myself in order to come into this space of knowing. And yet that space has always been there as a possibility. To hold that point of reference, to hold that space within, where without needing it to be this or that, or it's a deep knowing that this must happen in order to move forward. Right? I can't go back to the way things were, because I know now that that will not serve anyone. But I have to hold that knowing. Now, me as an empath, I naturally tend to want to understand another and understand another's perspective, because that is in my nature. I empathize and I want to relate to in order to understand another. That's my nature. And yet, I have explored that fully. That, you could say that part of myself where I am not in my wholeness. Right? You can say there's the two opposite polarities. You have the empath and you have the narcissist. Right? Those are two, just as you have like an oppressor and the oppressed, the victim and the victimizer. Right? Those are polarities. That's duality. Right? Where you have this split. into two different experiences between two individuals, let's say, masculine, feminine, above, below. It's left, right, right. But you want to come to this center point. You want to come into this knowing, this wholeness, right? So, and my mom has narcissistic borderline tendencies, not diagnosed, but I can connect to that pattern and I can see it, right? So how do I relate to this? How do I create a new dynamic moving forward, right? For my well-being. Now, in order for me to have that well-being, I must connect into my knowing and I must trust my knowing. I don't want to hurt my mother. I don't want to cut my mother off. I want to have a relationship with my mother, but I know that the relationship I desire cannot be manifested until there is a safe space, till I can feel safe. And I don't feel safe. She has told me, well, I've opened up this conversation and I'm willing to listen to you and all this, but okay, while you may think that you have done this, you have not done this because of what you're saying right now. And it's this continual thing, right? Where I need space and I set the boundary and I seal that space and I take my space, but she's constantly trying to get in. And why does she want to get in? Because she wants to be in my energy and I'm not allowing that, right? Because that's my right. And I know it's not helping anything. It's not contributing to my well-being. Right? And I have to put myself first and my son first. And trust, and trust the divine, and trust that she will come into her own space of knowing in her own time. And rather than being codependent, I have chosen to say no more. We're not going to continue down this road. We're not going to do things in this old way. When you're ready, I am here. I'm not abandoning anybody. Right? I am simply saying enough is enough. And I can see this out there, and we can see this out there in the world, where many of us are choosing this new way forward, and we're saying, no, we're not going to be nice anymore. We're not going to allow this to continue because it is having an effect on our well-being. And so we are going to choose to set boundaries. We're going to choose to rise. We're going to choose to create something new and not allow that to continue. But you cannot get to this space until you are in your knowing and you are trusting that knowing fully, wholly, and completely. And in order to trust that knowing, right, we have to clear out all those other voices, those programs, anything that tells us or tries to take us out of, right? Because it's a feeling, right? It's not a mental mind. No, it is a gut. It is an embodied knowing. It is not mental. It is not XYZ or 2 + 2 =. No, it is a gut, right? It is a core power that we hold. And the more you can connect into that knowing, especially at this time, right? That feeling of the knowing and trusting that feeling of the knowing in order to take those next steps forward, whatever they may be in whatever area, aspect of your life. That is what we are moving into, and that is what we want to focus on. So I wanted to share that. I wanted to share that part of my journey with you all so you can connect into your own knowing and begin to dismantle, right, that old dynamic, that old program, that old way. What happens is within the energy field, right, like within your chakras, let's say, or your body, however you want to visualize it. There are many different ways to visualize it. There's not right way, wrong. It's just, there are many different ways. You can see it in many different, but you want to see it, right? Visualize, that's your vision, your ability to see things, to explore things, to connect to things. That, and I just lost where I was going with that. Oh, so it is, we can be taken out of our knowing because another person may be saying no, no, no. Or we may not exist within our knowing because we aren't trusting it, because it's not logical, or it's not based in logic, right? Or a thought process, or a breaking down. But there is a reason why we have that knowing, that feeling. It's a gift. We've been given that gift. And when you're just connecting to one side and not the other, you are not balanced and you are not powerful. You need both sides. You need all things. Okay. All things to work optimally. Left brain, right brain. Creative, rational. And it's how we move the energies, right? We move the energies through. So some great questions to ask yourself when it comes to knowing, or to meditate on, or some journal prompts, however, what works for you, and try new things, is really getting in touch with that feeling. What does my knowing feel like? And what does it feel like when I do not, like, I want you to just open up your awareness and pay attention for the next couple days, week, where you are not going with that gut or that intuition or that knowing. And I want you to see the results. And then I want you to see the results of when you do. So just begin to open up your eyes, open up your mind to observe and witness, right, for yourself. Go in with curiosity. I want to see this. I want to witness my own knowing. I want to witness what it is like when I trust my gut. And I go with my gut and I allow things to unfold naturally and I can see it, right? Because it is the moment you make that choice to go with the gut, right, without needing that reason or anything, and you just go with that gut, you will see that power. And you can't be taken out of it. It's a very internal process. And the more you can align to that, the more powerful you are. Because you are in your spiritual, energetic field. Yours. Right? Living your purpose. Creating security for yourself, safety for yourself, etc. So I hope that helps some of you to connect deeper into your knowing, to understand knowing, to kind of break it down for you a little bit. And again, to understand that this is a process because we have become disconnected from our sacred feminine nature. And so because we have become disconnected, because we have become disembodied, because we have essentially suppressed that because it doesn't fit into our current society, we are reclaiming it. We are reclaiming, right, these gifts, our strength, our power, in order to be within balance, right? Because we need to create that balance. It is up to us to connect into that space. Nobody else is going to do it for us. If you would like some extra support, please join my Sacred Feminine Flow Facebook group. I will be hosting a full moon ritual. It's the lunar eclipse, so it's a very powerful time. And moon, right, the moon energy, that's the lunar energy, that's the feminine. And because it is an eclipse, you have the earth, which is center to the moon and the sun. So it's this perfect time of balance. And you want to use this, right, to because you connect your circadian rhythm, your universal rhythm, the rhythms you have within your body, right? The more you are able to connect to nature, the universe, and use what is already occurring within nature in order to regulate yourself and to honor yourself and to come into, right, universal being in harmony, the more like then you are in alignment and you are manifesting, creating, and being within your ease. You are in touch, you are in tune, you are connected. So we can use this time, right, to come into that space, to come into that center point, to come into that balanced, aligned state. And working with the lunar energies and the fact that it is an eclipse and it's in Capricorn, it's a very grounded, practical energy, right? We can also use the Cancer energy, right? You have the Capricorn and you have the Cancer. Cancer is the mother, Capricorn is more the father. So the mother, father, masculine, feminine, grounded, land, water. I just want you to breathe that in. Breathe that out. Core, right? Knowing. And then we will move into the next email that I send out. We will connect to vision, right? Your third eye, you could say. So how do you envision? How do you open up to a greater vision? How do you see the full picture? Right? How do you elevate? Right? So you get in touch with your feeling, right? And then you get in touch with your knowing, and then you elevate and you can start to see things from a higher perspective. And then eventually we're going to come into this greater understanding, this greater divine light. And then we will, be living our purpose and we will be bringing it in. And that is the process of balancing and alignment and connecting into your sacred feminine essence. And when you exist within that, then you are in the flow. Right? You are in the flow and you are where you are meant to be at all times. I hope you all have a lovely weekend. I hope to see some of you on the full moon lunar eclipse call in my Sacred Feminine Flows group, which I will be hosting on Sunday. I was thinking about doing a Zoom call, but I'm gonna host it in the group. I really want to start getting that group up and running, and to support you all in connecting deeper into your body, into your strength, into your abilities, into your sensory system, your ability to pick up on, your ability to connect to and be in your power, fully, wholly, and completely. Just to be a force to be reckoned with. That is what I feel we are all meant to begin to really work through. And I cannot wait to see all of you blossom and bloom through this process as well. So I hope to see some of you there. Until next time, toodaloo.